Hello, my loves. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Jess from BehatiLife. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, we're going to be talking about timing within the tarot. Now, this is one of the most, I don't want to say controversial, but it's widely debated and different for different people. But I've been studying the tarot for over 17 plus years of me making this video right now, from the time that I'm making this video right now. And then obviously I continue on studying as I move forward into the future always, because tarot, esoteric, and the occult and astrology are obviously my passions. And you know that because you're tuning in, I guess, right now, but that's neither here nor there. But timing is one of those things that I've spent a lot of time trying to study, and what I'm bringing to you right now is my own reference, my own experience, and what I have seen proven time and time again when it comes to timing within the tarot. Now, everybody is totally different when it comes to what works for them, especially when I start talking about how to use tarot for timing, especially when it comes to seasons. I personally do not like to use the tarot to narrow it down to seasons, but I'm only referencing that because I know that people want to know, and there are people who actually like to use the tarot and timing with the seasons. I'm a Virgo, I'm a perfectionist, and I'm also very passionate. So when I'm pulling cards and I want to know what time something's going to happen, it's a test, number one. It's me like really testing my skill and me testing my connection to the tarot, and also me deepening my knowledge and relationship to the tarot to see, like, okay, when I see this, what have I seen? What have I seen in my own personal experience happen? So that as I move forward into the future, I can pretty much know that when I see this card, this is what's going to happen. Now, again, there are people who do prefer to use seasons. So they say, okay, well, when is it a perfect time for me to get married? When is it a perfect time for me to go on vacation? And then you shuffle, 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 and then you see the card that represents fall come out, which I'll talk about that in a minute. And then they say fall. Fall is the perfect time. And then even though they were thinking about spring, they realized that fall actually was the most perfect time in hindsight when that moment passed, because they listened to the tarot and they listened to their intuition. All right, so obviously there's 78 cards in the entire tarot deck. That would be a long video. Even if I took 1 minute to talk about each tarot card within the entire major arcana, that would be a video that's over an hour long. Do the math. So I'm obviously not going to do that. I am going to be releasing and publishing a tarot grimoire. It's a secret that I just said now, but whatever. I am going to be releasing a tarot grimoire, hopefully late this year, maybe next year, that will have everything broken down for everyone. So everything that I can put down into paper, I will do that for you. But for right now, I have a few of my major cards that are pulled from both the major and the minor arcana that I think are the most significant tellers of time within the entire tarot deck. Now, that being said, let's go ahead and dive into seasons. So seasons within the tarot completely vary per person, and what I really recommend is for you to get accustomed to your tarot. Even if you are 5 years working with your cards and studying your cards and you pull cards every single day, there's still so much to learn, and there's still so much that you will gain from working with your cards constantly on a routine. Like, for me, I pray and I set intentions for my day, and I shuffle some cards and I see what the day has ahead of me. And I've been doing this for over 17 years, legit. So over time, I can see, and I have a relationship, like, say no more cards. I know what it is that you're trying to say, and I go on about my day. And then other times, they really do surprise me still, and I'm like, oh my gosh, had no idea that, you know, the Knight of Cups would represent this for me, and that was what was going to happen. So these are some things to be aware of. Franklin. When it comes to seasons with the tarot, for the most part, the colder months are pretty much set in stone and are agreed upon, at least the swords deck. So swords, for the most part, is most often connected to the season winter, and that's because the swords deck is connected to air, and because it's so, like, like barren in a lot of ways. So winter is the time where there's a lot of death and a lot of stillness and quiet. And the swords suit itself does not promise, does not always show that there's barren situations, because I've seen a lot of activity coming from that. But within the tarot, the swords is the one that's the most often connected to the season winter. Now, Pentacles is one of those debated seasons, or one of the cards that the season is debated. And Pentacles, for some people, it connects to the season of fall, and then for others, it's the season of summer, because it's like you're reaping, or spring, because you're reaping the reward. I personally look at Pentacles as a connection to fall, because I see it as like harvesting and building, and that's what the Pentacles is all about, is, you know, reaping that. Even though for some, that's what summer is. For me personally, Cups is connected to summer. That's because its emotions are high, the months are nice and long and lazy, and it connects to, you know, Cups is always connected to like flowing water and abundance, and things are thriving and growing. And then spring for me is the Wands deck, because this is when you see those little sprigs kind of showing themselves and planting themselves and growing. Now, again, everyone looks at these things differently. Some people have looked at the Wands as the summer card, Cups as spring. It is what it is, but I'm just telling you what my personal method is. No one's judging anyone here. Now, that being said, the next thing that I want to talk about with tarot timing is the fact that the major arcana is one of the most tricky, the trick is so tricky when it comes to timing. And it's not because it's not, you know, the messages aren't clear, because the messages of the major arcana are very clear, but you can't really pinpoint a lot of them, the majority of them, to timing, specific timing, unless it's the Fool card. For me, the Fool card is the card of now, right now in this moment, meaning like it's happening now. Sometimes you don't see it happening, but that energy is so much here in the now that it's like energy is right here. The second card that's connected to that, and forgive me you guys, because my desk is covered with cards right now, is the Magician card, which should be here, but I do not see it. The Magician card is, again, one of those cards that is like a yes, and right now, in this moment, manifested itself. The other thing is that if you would like me to make a video, the Magician card is very, very powerful when it comes to timing and like yes or no questions. So if you would like to see me make a video based upon that, I'm more than happy to do that for you. Now, but when you see another card that shows now things are happening in this moment is the Tower card. Usually it's that element of surprise, but also with the major arcana, when you're working with timing, the major arcana shows major moments of like road changers, like where the road splits. That's what the major arcana is within our lives. It shows where the fork in the road is at, and that major city in our life. So if our life was a map, the major arcana would be these major cities that's the destination that we're at, and the phase that we're in our life cycle in that moment. So the major arcana, when it comes to timing, is for a lot of times outside of these cards, showing that whatever card it is that you pull to show timing, and in this case I'm pulling the Temperance, that shows, okay, this is going to happen when you are working balance or when you have moderation. So such and such will happen when you have balance in your life. Such and such will happen when, oh, you'll have to make a choice. Something will happen when you have healed. Something will happen when you spend time not isolating yourself, but thinking about your intuition. Something will happen when it's Sunday, or you go on vacation, or when you're in the tropics. It depends on what is going on. Or something will happen at a celebration. Something will happen when you give birth. So the major arcana, when it shows up for timing, it's not, it varies so much. It really truly varies so much, because it shows a major moment. And if you see the major arcana show up for timing, and you're like trying to get to that point, and you want whatever it is to manifest itself, go back and have a conversation. I always say this to my students within the Sacred Circle Tarot School, that when you ask that question, the tarot is answering the question in that moment. It's reading the energy. So if that question, if the answer is something that it is that you wanted to hear, then cool, that's awesome. Pull some cards to help you and to give you advice into how to help you to get there and to be stronger as you move forward. So it's cards of advice that it is that you're pulling. Let's say the cards are showing that situation is going to be complicated, or maybe the outcome is not what it is that you wanted. Then pull some cards to show and to reveal how you can help yourself to get to that desired outcome, if there is actually a way. So the Major Arcana says, okay, we'll go through this. If such and such is going to happen when you go on vacation, okay, or the Sun card pops up, so maybe this Sunday, then what do I have to do to get to the moment where this can happen? So pull the cards and let them show you, let them talk to you and tell you. So even though you ask that question, don't be afraid to put the cards back in and shuffle, 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 ask your question and see what it is, because the cards are answering that one, and you can have a conversation with them in order to help you to get to the end result. I use it for myself all the time. That's why I'm here where I'm at right now, living my best life. All right. So that being said, all right, that answers the question about the Major Arcana. Again, I'm going to be breaking down the Major Arcana and timing within my Tarot Grimoire. I would do it in a video, and I would add it to the Sacred Circle Tarot School, which is basically this system, this sacred circle that I make every season for my, for those that are signed up and for those that are interested, in order to, go through the videos of learning the tarot deeply. Right now we're focusing on the Major Arcana, but I would do a whole system, a video for them and for all of us, but the amount of time that it would take in order to get through the timing is outrageous. There's just way too much to talk about when it comes to timing with the tarot. There's 78 cards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the timing down on a Word doc format and send it out to them. And for those of you guys who are not involved in the Sacred Circle Tarot School, links for that are down in the description box or in the bio. But for those of you guys who are not involved or not interested in that, but you are interested in tarot timing, then keep your eyes out for my Tarot Grimoire book that I am working on currently right now. It's a secret project, but I guess not too much of a secret because I just told you. All right, so that being said, let's talk about speed. This is another method of timing that is mostly asked, and I use it all the time. So which cards are fastest and which are slowest? Which ones are the most slow? And the fastest cards within the entire tarot deck are the ones of Swords for the most part, and Wands. This is because this is fire and this is air. So Swords works with the element air, Wands works with the element of fire. Swords and air is very fast. It's like a gust of wind that comes in. In fact, you'll see that they are the fastest cards within the entire tarot deck. Look, it's a gust of wind. Knight of Wands is super fast. If there is a card that is faster than the Knight of Wands, or maybe comparable to the Knight of Wands, Knight of Swords, I'm sorry. I always call them, their wrong name, but that's just because I talk tarot all the time. If there's a card that is faster than the Knight of Swords, it is, and I can just hear you guys' brains rolling to think, and maybe you've even said it out loud. And why isn't this card here? I definitely pulled this card out. It is the, jeez, what the shit? It is the Eight of Wands. The Eight of Wands is so fast. So fast. It's like lightning fast. It's like a text message coming in or an email coming in, or you're like, hey, Jess, when is so-and-so gonna text me? And I see these cards and I'm like, or if I see like the Magician card show up, which is in here somewhere, I'm like, girl, check your phone right now. And then she checks her phone. He's like, oh my God, he just texted me. Or as soon as we're done this reading, as soon as you walk out of my office, you're going to have a text message. And then it'll be like, ding, hey. Or ding, you up? So, Yeah, those are some of the fastest cards within the entire deck. The Magician is like, boom, now he's on your doorstep, you know, or this is going to happen, or this is happening, or this is here. Check your email and there's a job offer. Check your email and that's like, you got approved. So anyways, back to what it was that I was saying. Swords and Wands are absolutely the fastest within the entire deck, within the suits of the suits. But if you see cards like this, Two of Swords, don't ignore the fact that even though it's the swords, you always have to look at the message of that card. So even though a swords card showed up, and I'm telling you here and now that the swords represents you know, speed and activity and movement and air, don't ignore the fact that this card shows a stalemate, meaning that energy is not moving. So it could, but it's not. And when you see things like this and you actually want to see activity and news coming in, then shuffle some cards and ask them to say, okay, well, what can I do to break up this energy in order to get some movement? Now, again, there's some things that are in our control and there's some things that are completely outside of our control, but at least you know. At least you know what it is that you're working with. Now, the second, so of the two that I think are the fastest, Swords is by far the most fast out of all of them. Wands is second. Swords, again, is this gust of wind. Fire is literally fire, like a flame that comes in and probably has to be built up over time. When it comes to people, or when you see court cards like this, that shows the type of energy of that person that it is that you're working with. So if you see the Knight of Wands blowing in, then this is like someone who's like a drive-by. Like he comes in, he has a lot of passion, a lot of energy, and then poof, he's gone within a week or a month. And then you have Knight of Swords. This is more like, I have a lot to tell you, I have a lot of things going on, there's la, 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 and then poof, gone, like gone with the wind. In, out. So definitely look at those cards. Same thing is true with the Page of Swords and the Page of Wands. I actually don't factor in the difference between these guys. So I don't say that there's a difference between the Page of Wands and the Knight of Wands. I'm sorry, I keep on doing that. The Page of Swords and the Knight of Swords. I do this all the time. Even though when I'm working with the tarot and I'm shuffling the card and pulling messages, there is a distinct difference between the two of those. That's something, again, that I talk about in the Sacred Circle Tarot School, and also what I'll talk about in my Tarot Grimoire. But when I'm working with timing, I don't read into the differences between the two of them. And as far as I'm concerned, it's the same amount of energy, just gusting in. Same is true with the Page of Wands and the Knight of Wands. Same energy, really, really fast, moving in, moving out. The next, that when it comes to timing and things happening fast or slow, and as far as speed within the tarot, the Page of Cups and the Page of Pentacles, the Suit of Cups and the Suit of Pentacles are the slowest, with Pentacles being the absolute slowest. I mean, the Pentacles can be years, Cups can be months. They just take forever. Number one, Pentacles has to like measure everything and figure everything out, and it has to be the right time at the right moment. Like this is not quick to act at all. It's something that is built up over time, like this wheel that's just getting, you know, pushed up a hill. And then the Page of Cups, or Cups in general, it's all about feelings and emotions, and I just wanted to feel like it was the right moment, or that person acts upon an impulse. Sometimes if you do see this card, right, let's say you see Page of Pentacles and Eight of Wands, and you're asking, okay, when am I going to hear from a person, or when is that job going to, you know, send me an offer? They are coming in, but they're getting ready. They're getting their facts together. They're, you know, calling resources. They're thinking about you. The energy is definitely moving. Have a little bit of patience because it is coming in. Maybe it'll take a day or two longer than it normally would, but that's because the Pentacles is here slowing it down. So definitely look at all of the cards surrounding it. The same thing is true, like Page and Knight of Cups are, you know, they're the same to me when I'm working with timing, but you know, I don't see a difference when these cards show up. It's pretty much the same amount of timing that it takes for whatever it is that I'm waiting to come in, or for me to see the result from that. There are other cards. Let's talk about timing as far as time frames. So with Wands to me can be anywhere between a day and a week. Cups is a week or a month. Pentacles is a few weeks, a month to a year, years, centuries. Swords could be hours, minutes, a week, a day. Wands is hours, minutes, a week. Very fast. Okay, so that's the timing. You want to also take into consideration, you know, what it is that you're asking about. So let's say you're asking about, okay, when is this college application going to send me an acceptance letter? You haven't even sent out the application, and then you see like something like the Knight of Swords. Then it's like the cards are like, look, boo-boo, send out the application, quit messing around. Okay, you're taking way too long. You already know. You're not even going to get a yes or no until you send that application out. So let's go ahead and work on that first. So the tarot has an attitude. Like, the tarot is rude. A lot of times they're very rude, and that's up to the tarot reader to tell people like, okay, so did you send your application? Okay, well, you want to do that. Versus the tarot will be like, what are you doing? Quit messing around. Don't ask me stupid questions. The tarot is so rude. I can't tell you how many times I've like shuffled for myself and I'm like, what do you think is going to happen with this? And the tarot is like, are you serious? You basic boo? like, okay. You don't have to say all that. No, but anyways, so there's some special cards that I would like to talk about in general, and I'm going to speed through them because I don't have a whole lot of time. I like to keep my videos under 20 minutes, but this video is definitely going to be longer than that. So Ace of Cups and Ace of Pentacles, these cards definitely show that something is on the horizon. Yes, it may take some time, but at least it's growing, at least it's building, at least it's happening. So again, these are the cards that you want to shuffle to say, okay, well, what can I do to help this energy along? What can I do to break up this energy so it's a little bit more flexible and fluid? And then also, that's if you actually have control. I feel like someone just asked, but Jess, if you see the Ace of Cups or the Ace of Pentacles, does that mean that, you know, it's when your emotions are open or you're, you know, ready to invest? Yes, those things should definitely be taken into consideration when you're working with timing. So I would never ignore a tarot card message unless it's like the court cards. So like Queen of Cups, King of Wands, Knight of Swords, King of Swords. Sometimes if there is a person directly connected to that, then at least you know what type of person it is that you're dealing with. Queens and kings are more apt to show actual people. It's the page and the knights that kind of show when you're working with timing, at least like activity and actual movement, text messages, emails, phone calls, long love letters that are written in the dark by candlelight. But like kings and queens are more like the type of energy that it is that you're working with. So I'm notorious for shuffling the cards and being like, okay, I can see what it is that I'm dealing with, but when is this going to happen? That's what I'm asking. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. And then the cards are like, Two of Swords, quit asking. Nothing's moving. You already knew this, Jess. High Priestess, listen to your intuition. You do this for a living. This is your life. Why aren't you listening to yourself? And I'm like, because I'm human. It happens to the best of us. Okay, so moving forward, Seven of Cups shows, when this shows up for timing, I almost cursed. Stuff is so cloudy and foggy. It's almost like its energy is like conflicted. When I'm working with candle magic, this card reminds me of that candle, that flame that's like really, like almost like dead, like almost ready to go out. And it's this light little flame, this little ember that's like blue. It's not yellow. It's like has no power to it, and you're just like, okay, how do I make this stronger? The energy is not strong. So you have to work your magic to break that up and to clear out the fogginess because there's way too much going on. So the Seven of Cups just shows that there's a lot of infiltration. There's a lot of stuff that's kind of blocking something from manifesting itself. So again, shuffle some cards to break that up. Two of Wands shows that something is actually developing and on the horizon, but you know what I mean? Like you might have to do some action items. You might have to poke and prod. You might have to be like, poke, poke, poke. Did you get my text message? Or poke, poke, poke. I'm still here if you need me. Or, hey, I sent my resume last week. I haven't heard from you, so I just wanted to see So that's another way. Ace of Wands is highly passionate, spark of brand new energy. Things are coming in hot and heavy like lava, exploding. And it's up to you again to see if this is, let's say you decide that you want to work with seasons. It's up to you to look at this and say, okay, this is spring or this is summer. Totally up to you. Queen of Wands again shows situations. That's that energy again, the type of person that it is that you're dealing with for the most part. Four of Pentacles. When you see the Four of Pentacles coming up for timing, energy is blocked. It's not moving. It's like literally it's not moving. It's not trying to happen. It's steady. It's still, progress is dead, halted. The next card that shows that is the Hangman. We're going nowhere and nowhere fast. Also, this card, if you show up, if you're asking for timing, then the situation is suspended. We're not going anywhere. If you ask for advice, totally different question. Then this is let go and let God. Do not mix up your questions. If you mix up your questions, you're giving yourself and your current, whoever it is that you're reading for, mixed messages, and you're giving them wrong information every single time, even though your intention is good. So if you see this card and you pull it up and it's like, okay, you want to know, okay, you know, when is my college application? When am I going to get approved or rejected? You're not going to get anything. Nothing's going to happen. You're going to be stuck in this limbo period. And if I were you, shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. The card says poke, poke, poke. So let's say you pull this card and they're like, when is my college application going to come in? And then you interpret it and say, oh, let go, let God. Things are going to happen as they will. You're wrong. Basically, what you just did was you gave them advice. That wasn't the question. They weren't asking you for your advice. They were saying, when is this going to happen? The tarot interprets everything literally. It says, when is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? It's not going to happen. You're going to stay in limbo. Then if you want to ask advice, so, okay, what is it that I have to do? Go in there and try harder. Push, push, push. Okay? But if you look at this card and you're asking for timing and you tell your current, okay, things are in limbo, let go and let God, you've made a mistake. And this is, don't feel bad. Tarot readers do it all the time. Just don't be a victim of it. Like I say it all the time, over and over and over again. Get accustomed to not reading into things and giving people the message that it is that you want to give to them. Even if the message is bad, you're interpreting what you initially react to. Take some time to swallow the message first before you spit it out into someone's face. That's probably a really bad metaphor, but it is what it is. The Moon card is another one of those cards that is just like, you know what, things are cloudy and confusing and everything's kind of abrupt and weird right now. So who knows what's going to happen? Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Ask the cards for advice to see what can we do to break up this energy and make it more fluid and flexible. What can I do to move things along? The Wheel of Fortune says things are changing. Point blank, period. I did a whole video about the Wheel of Fortune. I don't know if it's on my channel, but the Wheel of Fortune, oof, it's one of those cards that... 10 of Swords is one of those cards that say the situation has ended or there's no movement, we're rock bottom, nothing is really going to happen from here. Sometimes this is good. It'll be like, okay, well, when is this going to happen? When you finally end, when you finally release, when you finally let go, when you finally hit rock bottom. Are you at rock bottom yet? It feels like I am. If you don't know that you're at rock bottom, you're not at rock bottom. It can get worse. Trust and believe. Knock on wood. So that's one of those cards, too, that you want to look out for. Knight of Pentacles. Ugh, I hate seeing this guy when it comes to timing. No, I don't hate it, but I do have respect for all the cards, but I'm just like, ugh, I'm going to be waiting forever for him to come in. Same thing is true with the King of Pentacles. I always see the King of Pentacles as timing too. He takes his time. He takes so much of his time, even though I know by saying that I contradict myself because I said that kings and queens don't really represent timing. The King of Pentacles for me has always shown as that. Four of Cups is one of those cards too that shows that energy is not moving, it's stagnant, it's still, and it's not because someone's not interested, it's just showing the blockage. So don't look at this card and be like, okay, when is this going to happen? It's not because they're not interested in you. Maybe, but you ask the card, when is it going to happen? And the cards say, it's not going to happen. Energy is still. Why? Because numerology, number 4, stagnation, like stillness, blockage, meaning that we're deadlocked. If you wanted to know, okay, why isn't this going to happen? And then you see this, that's because they're not interested. They don't want you. They're not here for you. They don't like you like that. So, and that's an honest, as much as that answer sometimes sucks, it's the truth. You know what? You're working with the tarot in order to get the honest answer. You're not working to hear the things that it is that you want to hear. You can go to your best friend or your mom to hear that. Your mom can tell you how awesome you are. The cards are going to tell you, you need to whip your ass into shape because you've been dragging your feet for way too long and I'm sick of you asking me the same questions. Get your life together. That's what the tarot is there for. Or you get a more spiritually pretty answer, depending. But in a lot of ways, you know, the cards, for the most part, are just bold. They're just bold, blunt, and honest. And I respect that. All right. So if you have any questions about yes or no, questions for working with the tarot, I'm more than happy to answer them for you. I feel like someone's going to be like, okay, is there a specific spread that it is that you use when it comes to timing? No. Basically what I do is I shuffle the cards and I wait for a jumper card while I'm thinking about, okay, when is this going to happen? When is this timing going to happen? And that card that jumps out shows me what it is that I'm working with, okay? All right, you guys, thank you so much. Make sure that you're subscribed. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. If you want to see some more, leave your comments down below. As far as if you love timing, if you pull timing, what cards do you like to see when you're working with timing or certain situations where it manifested itself. And definitely make sure that you are following me on Instagram. You can find that at BehatiLife. And we will talk soon. Until next time, bye.